So, a lot of you guys asked us to shift the time to, the evenings. We're on it. Hey guys. A lot of you guys asked us to shift the time, especially, because you're on the West Coast, and we decided people that live on the West Coast are people too. So we shifted the time. So I'm excited to see all you guys in here. I'm ready to answer questions. We just launched the next water fasting challenge. So even if you did the last water fasting challenge, you still got to sign up for this one. We had about 55,000 people sign up for the last water fasting challenge. We made a massive impact. A few thousand people stayed on the lives and went through the water fast with me directly. But I would really love for you guys to participate in the water fasting challenge. Get your family, your friends, your coworkers. I really want to start making that ripple effect. I mean, the Rule Breakfast is here to amplify the message. There's no way that I can do this on my own, but I can do it with all of you. So I really would encourage you, if you didn't do the water fasting challenge last time, please do it with me this time. I'm going to be with you every step of the way. It's absolutely free, except for the water. I encourage you to get the Baja Gold sea salt and perfect aminos, so we don't get amino acid deficient and we don't get electrolyte deficient. But other than that, it's not going to cost you a penny, and you'll really get to feel the power of the healing process in the human body, because so many fascinating things happen over a short 3-day water fast, and anybody can do it. Remember, the first day, I actually just have you, can you get some B-roll on the phone, Max? I actually just have you do a bowl of bone broth around noon and a bowl of bone broth at 6 o'clock. So we kind of ease into the first day, and then we're fully fasted the last 2 days. This is a fast mimicking followed by a fasting diet, which has a lot of evidence for correcting blood sugar imbalance, reducing body fat, increasing your natural growth hormone, actually helping you to engage in something called cellular autophagy, which, remember, our immune system, we all know that it protects us against viruses and bacteria and pathogens, but very often we forget that the majority of the immune system's role is to police ourselves. And what it does is it polices the body, and it actually watches for cells that have become that were metabolically healthy that are becoming metabolically sick. Remember this: we don't catch pathology and disease, right? We don't catch cancer. Nobody inherited cancer or caught cancer from being in the room with somebody else that had it. What happened was a healthy cell in your body became metabolically sick. Every single person on this call right now has at one time had a cell in their body that was on its way to becoming a cancer cell, but your immune system spotted it and it killed it before it actually became an issue. So this is why cancer shows up in our own tissues, our skin, our liver, our lungs, our pancreas, our kidneys. And so by doing these 3-day water fasts, there's a lot of evidence that you can actually stop that cellular senescent process. Those cells that were one time metabolically healthy that are becoming metabolically sick or can no longer perform their function, of which there are millions of these cells in your body right now. You've got red blood cells that can no longer carry oxygen. You've got white blood cells that cannot mount an immune defense. You've got platelets that can no longer carry growth factors. I want to get those cells out and replace them with young, fresh, healthy cells that are going to serve us. And that's what fasting does. If you can get through the first day, you can complete the entire water fast. I promise you. You'll have a level of mental clarity, energy, focus, concentration like you never thought imaginable. So I know we're here to fire up some questions. So let's just get right to it. Hi there.
Hi, Gary. Great to see you.
Hi, Laura. How are you?
Doing wonderful. Thank you. I just had a quick question. I did the genetic test back in December, and I believe I recall that you had said we may have a chance to do the upgraded precision gene test. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Is that something that would be complimentary if we've already bought the previous one?
Well, so the precision gene test goes from 5 genes to 50 genes, 700 trillion possible combinations. It creates a 400 or 180 page book that's essentially written by your cells about you. And then it creates precision supplements that are a little more refined than the ones that we have now. So you get credit for the you get credit for whatever you spent on the original gene test, which was $600. The new gene test is $1,200. So you would only pay the difference of that.
Gotcha.
So you do get 100% credit. But look, if this is working for you, you may not need to upgrade to that test. If you still feel like you haven't closed that last 15 yards, then that test could be, the difference between goodness and greatness. The majority of
Okay.
people are able to find in that first genetic test that they have a significant impact on their anxiousness, their anxiety, their sleep has a tendency to improve, their focus. They tend to have a lot more energy. And if not, then the next thing we do is we either upgrade that test or we look into the blood, right? Because the data doesn't lie. The majority of people are tired because their blood counts are off, and the majority of that reason are nutrient deficiencies leading to hormone imbalance. And so they don't necessarily need hormones. They usually need other nutrients like DHEA, vitamin D3, cholecalciferol. They need to get a protein out of their blood called SHBG, those types of things. So listen, if it is a financial burden, I would say stay where you are. And our preference would be that you spend less money and get the blood work done. If it's not a financial burden, then by all means upgrade to that test and see if it closes the last 15 yards for you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for that explanation. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome, Laura. Hey, man.
Hey,
Jordan.
Gary, how you doing?
I'm doing awesome. Jordan, how are you, brother?
Doing good, man. Hey, I want to thank you. I was on here 2 months ago and asked you about psoriasis, and
Yes.
glutathione helped clear that up, and I went carnivore and lost another 15 pounds, and psoriasis is clearing up. So,
Yes.
so going in the right direction. So thank you for that.
I'm really happy to hear that. Remember, these types of skin conditions, psoriasis, eczema, these are very often where the liver is using the skin as a secondary route of waste elimination. And when that happens, it's coming from the inside out. So we've got to heal it from the inside out, not the outside in. The solution is not like the cortisone creams and the anti-inflammatory creams, which are eventually going to buy you a problem downstream. It's doing exactly what you just did. So that's awesome.
Yeah. So thank you for that. But I have a couple of questions for you. I'll try to make them quick.
Okay.
So I'd say my first one, is I think it'll be a short answer. You often talk about working out under a fasted state and that's your preference. But I don't know that I've ever heard why you choose to work out under a fasted state versus, after eating. Is there something?
So there's 3 reasons why I prefer working out in a fasted state. Now remember, you're not entirely fasted. I always tell you to take perfect aminos, which do not
Perfect
break
aminos.
fast. Yeah. So I'll always take Baja Gold Salt, which is just my electrolytes and the perfect aminos, and then I also add creatine to that if you're really trying to build some muscle. So creatine, perfect aminos, and Baja Gold Salt, and about a pint of water won't break it fast. So there's 3 reasons why I like working out in a fasted state. Number one, anytime we have food in our gut, right? So food that moves from the stomach and it moves into the small intestine. If I was to stand you in front of a thermograph, what you would notice is that heat, meaning blood and therefore oxygen, leaves other parts of your body and it's diverted to the gut. So in other words, when we have food in our intestinal tract is a 30-foot long tube. It's enveloped with blood vessels. And when food goes into that tube, the body prioritizes digestion. So it sends blood flow there, it sends nutrients, it sends oxygen. So that's where a lot of energy goes, is towards the digestion of that food. So a lot of times eating just prior to working out will actually put you in a state where some of your energy is diverted to the gut. The second thing is that I want to burn through something called our glycolic reserve. So remember, the body's priority for energy always follows these 3 things. Number one, we primarily will burn glucose if there's a high level of glucose in our blood. Once our glucose gets to a certain level, we switch our energy source to glycogen, which is stored in the liver and also in the muscles. The difference between glycogen in the liver and glycogen in the muscles is the muscles do not contribute it back to the blood. So you can't use it for energy. The liver does. Takes glycogen, turns it into glucose called gluconeogenesis, meaning new glucose, and it throws it back into the bloodstream. This is why it freaks people out sometimes when they wear a constant glucose monitor and their blood sugar actually rises in the morning, even though they haven't eaten. They get out of bed and they're like, wait a second, my blood sugar is rising. I haven't even eaten. That's your liver putting glucose into the blood. So if I get through the glycogen, now that's when at rest, my body will replace the glycogen stores with fat. And then the third reason is just all of that bulk in the gut. So if you work out later in the day and you're not fasted, great. A lot of people that are doing 30-30-30, they get 30 grams of protein within 30 minutes of waking, followed by 30 minutes of steady state cardio. That I usually ask them to choose liquid protein sources rather than solid protein sources for the same reason. But I think you just get a lot more bang for your buck if you take perfect aminos. If you're really trying to muscle build, creatine and Baja Gold Salt, and work out in a fasted state.
Okay, awesome. And then my other question is, so I've been trying a lot harder lately to cut out all seed oils. And I've done a pretty decent job of that via the diet.
Yep.
But one of the things that I was recently reading, and I'm not sure if this is true, but like still having seed oils that come into your body through like body wash and shampoo and like the oils that are used in those things, does that have an effect on inflammation in your body as well? Because your body would absorb it that way, or is it really only like you need to focus on getting the seed oils out of the diet and the topical stuff is okay?
Yeah, the seed oils in the diet are the real offenders. The topical seed oils aren't nearly as bad. I mean, because the polymers are too large to pass through the skin, to the pores. But if you have psoriasis or eczema, putting pro-inflammatory compounds on irritated skin is never a good idea.
Yeah.
Putting something that is rancid onto skin that's already irritated is not really a good idea. This is one of the reasons why 23 brands of sunscreen have been recalled from the market in the last 4 years for cancer-causing chemicals, which is astounding when you think that sunscreen might cause cancer, but a lot of those topical chemicals. One of the reasons why, one of my real intentions for the very near future, and it's already underway, is to launch something called the Ultimate Human Chemical Free Living, where without changing a dollar in your budget, we can swap out a lot of these chemical laden products for things that don't have parabens and bisphenols and phthalates and all of these different fragrances and things like that. So, I really like people to do these things gradually. Too much of a shift that makes compliance really hard. One of the reasons why I don't have a specific diet, I think carnivore is excellent for you, especially in your, trying to address skin conditions. My big mantra is eat whole foods,
Right.
and then getting seed oils out. Seed oils hide in a lot of dressings too. Dressings are classic for having seed oils in them. But what's amazing is as you start to get these out of your diet and you start to add things like natural coconut oils, tallows, grass-fed butters, ghee butters, a really good extra virgin olive oil with crushed sea salt, you actually start to taste what whole foods taste like. I prefer a lot of the chemical laden, seed oil infused salad dressings and other types of coverings. That's the one place that a lot of calories and seed oils and pro-inflammatory compounds hide. People go, well, I switched over to eating salads, but then you're putting the Caesar dressing and the peppercorn ranch on there, and you can't pronounce half the stuff on the back of the bottle of a peppercorn ranch. And even though it tastes amazing, it's really not the best for you from an inflammatory standpoint.
All right, awesome, man. And then here's my last one, promise. My wife is 35 weeks pregnant with our first child.
Oh,
So,
God bless you, man. That's awesome.
yeah, thank you. So exciting stuff there. I purchased, or I guess she got it for me for Christmas. This past Christmas was the genetic testing and the blood work through 10X. We have held off all this time on both of these things, and I don't know why I never asked before, but is she able to take the 10X genetic test right now while she's pregnant, or does she have to wait a certain amount of time before?
No. She can absolutely. Yeah, she can absolutely. Her genes will not change because of her pregnancy. Right.
Okay.
The genes she's born with, the genes she'll die with. Same with you and I. And so she can cheek swab herself, and send that test in and get the results. Also, I really encourage her, if she's taking a prenatal vitamin, to take a methylated prenatal
Methylated.
vitamin.
We got her
Yeah,
on that. Yeah.
Okay, good. I love the one by Thorne. That's a great one. Pure Encapsulations has a good one too.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate everything you're doing for us, and
Have a
let
healthy
you get on to the
pregnancy,
next
man.
one.
I mean, and a healthy baby, brother. That's great news.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, you got it. Hey, Steve.
Gary, how you doing,
man?
Gary? You know what?
Baby.
Every time I see you, you're all that big and vascular, and you can't see that today, though. That's
Oh yeah, I should have worn a
That's
short
different.
sleeves. And sorry, I was actually working out, like right.
there you go. There you go. Well, good to see you again, and I hope that you can answer this. And of course, I know that you say you're not a doctor, but I do really respect what you say.
Thank
And
you.
after I did the 64 biomarker, and I didn't do it through 10X Health. Everything looked good, but my free testosterone was at 3.6.
What was your total testosterone?
You know what, Gary? It's not on there. I don't know. It just shows 3.6. And when I went to my traditional doctor, she looked at it and she said, "Oh, the total isn't on there." And so they didn't really have a good answer why it wasn't.
Yeah,
But
what's weird is the free testosterone is derived from total testosterone, so they must have actually pulled it and just for whatever reason didn't put it on your report. You should be able to get that from the lab. But
Okay.
regardless, so let me give you a two-part answer, because without the total testosterone, it's hard to see. But so write this down. See if there's something on there called SHBG. SHBG. That stands for sex hormone binding globulin. And what that is, it is on there?
Yes.
What is that one?
84.2.
Okay, so that's high.
A little high, right?
Yeah. So so SHBG is exactly what it sounds like. It is a sex hormone binding protein, and it binds to what sex hormone? Testosterone. So let's say you'll have a nice healthy free testosterone number. I'm going to make up a number for a second. 600, 700. Okay. And then you have this really abnormally low free testosterone, meaning you're not converting a lot of the hormone testosterone into the bioavailable form. That is inhibited by that protein, SHBG. And the best way to lower that is to take something called boron, BORON, which you can get over the counter from Pure Encapsulations. You get it from 10X Health. You can get it from Thorne. You can get it from Symbiotica. You take something called boron, which is a harmless mineral. What it does is it binds to sex hormone binding protein, carries it out of the bloodstream, and as SHBG lowers, your free testosterone rises.
Fantastic. Now, they talked about is it troche or troche?
Troche.
Troche. Okay, troche. And using that as a testosterone lozenge, right? You wouldn't suggest anything like that?
There is one called Kysotrex, which is the only FDA-approved oral testosterone that does not go through the liver. So it's very easy on the liver. So injectable testosterone is easy on the liver. Most oral, and that's called a buccal testosterone, is a little hard on the liver. For a short period of time, it's not a big deal. Troches are kind of a pain in the butt too, because you got to put them in your cheek for a while. They're very slow to melt. My preference would be that you do injections, or that you do the oral testosterone. Just remember, if you do cream-based testosterone, which you can also do, which is not my preference, that testosterone will transfer to other people. Very often, like women that are on hormone therapy, for example, put creams on their forearms and they hold babies. You can actually have get a transfer into the baby or into a child or into your loved one. So that's why I prefer, if you don't want to do the shots, that you do the FDA approved oral testosterone that doesn't harm the liver. You take those capsules twice a day. They also have a good sublingual testosterone, which you can get from a compound pharmacy, which goes under the tongue. That's a really excellent route. I'm just personally not a big fan of the troches, but that's a personal preference.
And then the boron,
BORON. Boron.
Right. If I start with that, you think that might just in itself raise my free testosterone?
Yes,
boron?
it will lower your. So if you take that for 60 days, you're going to drop from somewhere in the 80s, with your SHBG to somewhere in the 40s, and your free testosterone will triple.
See, that's why I love talking to you, Gary. one more thing. My Whoop is going to be here in a couple of days, and I'm just curious. There you go. Do you have to take it off to charge it, right?
No, you actually snap the charger right on there. I actually had the charger on right before I got here. I never take it off. There's a little battery charger that you plug into the wall and you unplug it and it snaps right on there. Sometimes I forget for a whole day that the charger's even on there. Then you unsnap it and put it back on the counter. But yeah, you don't even have to take it off.
So that's what my next question. Cold plunge, dry sauna, steam room, nothing matters. It's not going to affect that watch at all. Awesome.
Dude, I put this thing goes in the sauna, the steam room. I slam laps with it last night. I beat it up pretty bad.
Yeah.
It's pretty indestructible. It's a great device, and you'll start to track your sleep. You'll actually see what really matters, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
those of you guys that did the sleep challenge with me, that we saw negative effects from alcohol, negative effects from eating too close to bedtimes, negative effects from inconsistency in bedtimes. And a lot of what we did in that sleep challenge was non-supplement related, right? We didn't take sleep medication or we did some supplements, but we did like the 5 big things, consistent bedtime, contrast shower sometime before bed if you have a hard time falling asleep, the breath work technique, 6-second inhale, 3-second hold, 6 seconds out through a straw, with that meditation technique of kind of pulling the thoughts from your head down into your lungs and breathing them back out, just to kind of clear your mind, cooling your room down, darkening your room, and unplugging your electronics 6 feet from your head. None of those things will cost you a penny. And we had dramatic improvements in sleep scores. This is why I'm such a fan of big data. I talk about this all the time. If you've been watching my podcast lately and what have you, we are about to live through the most fascinating time in all of medicine, because big data, artificial intelligence, and early detection are all converging. You're going to see the old paradigm of medicine where we study things in isolation, or we study one variable at one time and assume that one single outcome is going to extrapolate to massive populations. Like we say, okay, LDL cholesterol up, let's push LDL cholesterol down, that lowers cardiovascular risk. And then you go, well, the big data says that when we push LDL cholesterol down, you interrupt cell walls, cell membranes, hormones, and vitamin D3 production. So that actually has worse downstream consequences. So this is why I'm also a big fan of Whoop data, because Whoop does these, studies that people opt into with tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of people, and they get really good data on sleep,
Right.
strain, exercise. You'll love this thing.
Well, Gary, all gas, no brakes. Keep going. We love you.
Thank you, brother. That's how I live my life, man. I love what I do. Thank you so much.
You bet.
Hey there.
Hey, how you doing, Gary?
Dude, Mike, are you outside? That's so awesome. I'm jealous.
I am. I know, it's awesome. I am so lucky to be here. I'm from Bonita. So in the
Bonita Springs,
I live in
it's just north of Naples. Yeah.
Yep, I live in Bonita Bay. So I'm fired up to finally be talking with you.
I used to live in Barefoot Beach.
I know.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've got a couple questions for you and wanted to see if you could help me with something.
Sure.
First and foremost, thank you for everything you do. Your message is pure with me. It's to the point where I'm looking for a way to change my life to resonate your voice in a broader way and to bring whatever skills I can to bear to help you with that. So
wow, that is so kind of you, man. Thank you so much.
I can't speak highly enough about the changes in my life that you've enabled, and it's the core of who I am. We're on the same path. So anyway, thank you for everything you're doing, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Sorry, a little choked up. Anyway, I have signed up for the blood work test, and it really resonates with me, saving myself before I save others.
Yeah.
As you can imagine, I've got a background with some health issues in the family. And so that's why this really resonates with me. And that's why it's my purpose as well. And so um, I'm taking the blood test, I'm taking the DNA test, I've got the results of my blood test, and I'm meeting with my provider on Thursday to walk through, what I need from a supplementation perspective. So that's great. I am having a problem with getting my precision DNA swab test. It was
Okay.
sent to Bonita on the day that I came up north, and I've called and I've sent an email, and I'll plan
Okay.
on talking to my provider. But and I've even asked the people down in Bonita to send it to me up north. So hopefully I can get some help with that, because I really want to
Yeah,
take
if
that second part.
yeah, my executive assistant Mariah Ospina can help you with that.
Okay,
Yeah, so
that would be helpful.
she's my full-time executive assistant on the 10X Health side, so we can actually maybe arrange to get another one sent out to you.
Yeah, that sounds great. That was my first thing, just to get the help. And then I have a couple questions. One is, one of the recommendations for my blood work, I've got a high, or starting to get a high A1C like a lot of other people, and it's been creeping up for years. And one of the recommendations in lifestyle change was to do high protein early in the morning. And I do fast until about 12:30 on a daily basis. I have been doing
Perfect.
the amino supplements in the morning. Um, you know, usually before some PT that I'm doing currently.
Okay.
And I'm wondering whether that is sufficient to kind of help with that, or whether I need to change my eating style to kind of, if you have some thoughts on that.
So hemoglobin A1C is the 3-month average of your blood sugar, right? Glucose is a measure of your blood sugar right now. So in other words, when you had the blood test done, how much sugar was in the blood right then. The hemoglobin A1C is the 90-day average of your blood sugar. It's a much better measure. After you get above 5.6 and get to 5.7, you're in the pre-diabetic corridor. Until you get to 6.4, then you're diabetic, and at 7.0, you are insulin dependent. So my suggestion would be the following. Number one, the perfect aminos and the exercise in the morning is beautiful. And your first meal of the day, proteins and fats, a great idea. Avocados, eggs, even some berries is a great way to start the day. There's also a root called berberine that you can take with each meal. You can get that through 10X Health. And it's a root, and in side-by-side clinical studies, it actually outperformed or equally performed metformin, which is the main glucophage that they give to type 2 diabetics. It doesn't it's not habit forming, it's not addictive, it's non-tachyphylactic. Most people tolerate it very, very well. It's a root. And that's really good at controlling blood sugar. But remember that sugar hides in the places where we don't think it does. Places like white flour, white rice, white bread, white pasta, and white potatoes. Not that they have high amounts of sugar, they have high amounts of refined carbohydrate. So one of the best things to do is just get those whites out of your diet. And then wander around in the world of, coconut oil, olive oil, nuts, avocados, eggs, grass-fed meats, line-caught fish, things like that, salmon, and as many veggies as you want. And that makes you satiated, and it makes that journey towards getting your 3-month average of your blood sugar down very easy.
Awesome. Yep. Those and that berberine was part of the recommendation that I received and already read. So
yeah, not surprised.
That's awesome. Yep. And then my last question is just, I am part of my mission is to save my family as well, because I can see the dysfunction. And my wife suffers from epilepsy, complex partial epilepsy.
Okay.
And I have this theory, but I don't know. And maybe there's some things that you've seen that are common, but I'm starting with a grounding mat with her,
Yes.
sleeping, so that she can actually discharge, because I have a theory that maybe some of that electrical malfunction might just be lack of discharge. And I'm wondering if that makes sense, or if there's other things that are just kind of practical at this point before I get the blood and DNA test for her.
Well, I mean, budget and space dependent. I would think about getting a red light therapy panel, or even a red light therapy bed, or red light therapy panels. I mean, these are actually very, very good. If you want to see some interesting clinical studies, Google photobiomodulation, which is the fancy word they use for red light therapy. Photobiomodulation, meaning using light to modify the biome. Photobiomodulation.
Right. And I used that ARC. I used the ARC one down in Naples. There was an ARC photo model. I can't even say it.
Photobiomodulation.
It was awesome. I could not
Yeah.
believe how I felt the next day. It was
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Astounding. We're very photovoltaic beings. And the other thing was, you may want to do some research on clean keto. Remember that the keto diet was actually originally developed for epilepsy. That's the origins of the keto diet. Every single person on this phone call right now, or the Zoom call, entered this world on a keto diet. If you look at the actual, consistency of colostrum, the first 48 hours of mother's milk, you see that it's extraordinarily high in fats, then proteins, and very low in carbohydrates. So important for neural development. And the other thing that I would seriously consider is getting a good black seed oil supplement, black seed oil, and a really good omega-3 fatty acid. Right, omega-3 fatty acids are great for neural inflammatory conditions. They're great for reducing inflammation. The brain is a majority of it is fat, and so you can do a lot by to reduce inflammation by using black seed oils and omega-3 fatty acids, along with red light therapy, and even ketogenic dieting.
All right. Awesome. Thanks so
All right.
much.
Great talking
So
to you.
nice.
Thank you for the kind words, man. That's really kind of you. Hey, man. True Freedom.
Hey, Gary.
How you doing, buddy?
Great. How you doing today?
Amazing.
So I just have a question. I'm having a hard time getting rid of belly fat.
Mm-hmm.
Any recommendations?
Yeah. So remember, we can't spot reduce fat in the human body. So let's say that you stood with your legs apart and your arms out like this, right? And you do it, drew a circle from the top of your head out to your arms, around to the bottom of your feet, right? As that circle narrowed, ending at your belly button, this is how the body reduces its fat reserves. So it's usually the last to go, fortunately or unfortunately, right? We go from the periphery inward, shoulders, chest, upper abdomen, then finally down to the belly button. There is a great peptide called 5-amino 1-MQ. And another
that's different than BP 157, right?
BPC 157, body protection compound 157, is a healing peptide. That is a gastric pentadecapeptide. It is a peptide that is synthesized from gastric juice. It's really good for knees, hips, shoulders, rotator cuff, ankles, joint pain, back pain. Very good for helping seal and heal the gut. But the other one is called 5-amino, the number 1, the letter M, the letter Q, 1-MQ. This helps mobilize and metabolize old, stubborn white fat. There's another peptide called MOTS-C, MOTS-C, that is very good for fatty acid metabolism. But nothing's better than a little bit of, fasted exercise in the morning with perfect aminos, stopping eating, 2 hours before bedtime, and breaking up your walks into a few times per day. I really think that walking is the most underrated thermogenic exercise in the world. And so even getting out for a walk, if you eat early enough after dinner, these things will reduce your glycemic load and will really address your body fat.
And where do you find the aminos? How do you find those?
Those two are by prescription, so you could get them from 10X Health, or you could get them from your physician, or if you have a
You do have them? 10X
Yes.
Health does have them?
Yeah, if you're a 10X client, you can talk to your case coordinator and they'll get those for you.
Okay, and then the BPC 157, do you also have that available?
BPC 157, I recommend you can order that online from Integrative Peptides or
Integrated Peptides?
Integrative Peptides. Yeah, Integrative Peptides, or Peptide Sciences. Both of those have really good BPC 157.
Great, thank you.
You're super welcome.
You have a great
afternoon. Is it Chris and Laura?
Yes, it is. How are you?
Let me see Laura. Where's
He's here.
Oh, he's there. You're just in the you're
We're
in the
both there.
background mist there, man. Hi guys.
How are you tonight?
Amazing. How are you guys?
Awesome. Thank you so much for taking our question.
Of
Actually,
course.
it's more my question than Chris's, because he's like, you just have to ask. Stop asking.
I hope this isn't one of those where I told you so. See,
It might be.
Oh, it's about to be. Okay.
So I got the results of my gene test. I have a full MTR break and then a partial CompT, MTHFR, and MTR. I've started supplementing with the 10X Optimize. I take 200 milligrams of the CME. I'm doing a Thorne Omega with the CoQ10, 12.
Yep.
Plus plus the Deep 3 K2 and TMG,
Yep.
and also taking magnesium at night.
Okay.
So it's kind of just my overview. Two of the biggest concerns I have, one is like memory brain fog, and other is hair loss. And so I'm still getting, actually I saw my doctor today to get some updated blood work, but I'm curious if there's a connection with all the breaks that I have with those symptoms, and if there's anything else that I should be looking to supplement based on those possible deficiencies.
Yeah. So first of all, that's tough on sleep. Really, really tough on sleep. I mean, you have a tendency to have a very, very much of a waking mind at night. Also a tendency to go to worst case scenario. When you consider possible outcomes, and so two things. Number one, if the brain fog started several weeks after taking SAMe, I would discontinue the SAMe. If you've always had the brain fog and you're still concerned about the brain fog, I would give this some time, but I would also look at your blood work, because it sounds to me like there might be a hormonal imbalance. Thyroid and hormonal imbalance are big reasons why hair loss occurs. And you might not have a hormonal imbalance because you have a hormone regulation issue. You might have a hormone imbalance because of other nutrient deficiencies like DHEA, or like this SHBG that I was talking to the gentleman about before. So my recommendation would be, if it doesn't stop after you've been on supplements for a few weeks, then I would really consider getting a blood test done. I would look at your estrogen, your testosterone, and I would look at your thyroid levels, because very often thyroid and hormone imbalance are directly related to female diffuse alopecia. Because a young, healthy female like yourself, just by looking at you, you shouldn't be experiencing diffuse hair loss. So generally, it's some kind of hormone imbalance or thyroid issue that you can fix.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Like I said, I saw my doctor today, and as she was doing her thing, I was like, can you do like a thyroid and hormone? I didn't even realize our call was tonight. So I'm glad
that's so great. Yeah, no, she does a thyroid and hormone panel. You definitely want to look at those. And guys, men, if you're listening too, lots of men take Propecia or finasteride for hair loss. Just know that you can actually apply those things topically. You don't have to take them orally. Orally, they have disastrous consequences for our hormones. Remember that, the main reason why men especially experience hair loss is because of something called DHT, dihydrotestosterone. It binds to the hair follicle and kind of chokes it out. And so rather than kill your hormone level to save your hair, apply the finasteride or minoxidil to the scalp. You'll get a high concentration in the hair follicle and very little into the serum of the blood, so you don't deal with downstream consequences like loss of libido and erectile dysfunction. Those are common side effects of Propecia and finasteride. Just thought I know that wasn't your question. I just wanted to throw that in there for the men that are listening.
Oh, it's good for the group. Well, thank you so much. And like I know other people have said, I really appreciate and that our paths crossed by how we found you, because I know you're changing lives everywhere. And I can definitely speak for the both of us. The knowledge that we've gained from your podcasts and these
really, thank you,
have been phenomenal. So thank you.
That really means the world to me, guys. Thank you so much. Sincerely, thank you. Yo.
Hey, Gary, how are you?
How are you, buddy?
Good, good. I'm calling you from Guam, on the other side of the world with this call. So
Guam. Wow, you get the distance award, man.
Yes. So I want to thank you. We spoke one other time about the cholesterol. I did the COMT because I had did the genetic test. I got that COMT break.
Yes.
And being an airline pilot, it was concerning, but I cut out all the green tea. I was really bummed out about that. And it seems like it's taken a while, but the energy level has come up.
Yeah.
And so I've done all the supplements, and I believe you said the Pure Therapor brand is good for
Yeah,
the
yeah, pure encapsulations. Yes. Yep. Pure encapsulations brand, Thorn. If you can't get 10X, yes. Yeah, those are
Okay.
great.
Okay, so one of the other things the protocol told me to take was the TMG.
Trimethylglycine.
Yeah, so I ordered it, and I didn't know what I was getting. I thought it was going to be capsules, but it was a bag of this powder. But then one of the things I was reading on it, it said may raise your cholesterol. And that was one of the first questions off the last call. I was like, hey, I have this high cholesterol number. But then you
What else
told me,
is in that powder? Can you read me the ingredients?
oh man, this got some, it says, I don't know how to pronounce it. I don't know, can you see that?
Trimethylglycine, other ingredients, none. Yeah, I'm not aware of trimethylglycine raising cholesterol levels. I don't know that I've seen any research on that. I mean, that it may raise, that usually is because of a binder or filler, or thickening agent in something. But I mean, we have tens of thousands of patients on trimethylglycine, and I don't know that we've gotten any feedback on elevated cholesterol levels.
Yeah,
Quite the
maybe it was just off of a Google search, because I didn't know what it was, because I never heard it before. But yeah, this is all this is. But then I noticed in this vitamin here, the capsule, it's got where'd it go? It's got a little bit in. It's got 75 milligrams. So in that protocol, how much should I take? Is that enough? 75?
Yeah, 75 milligrams, 1,000 micrograms. So we recommend 1,000 micrograms, about 25% more than what's in there.
Okay, so so it's just enough off of this.
Yeah, that's enough off of that.
Okay,
Yeah.
and then I dragged this in the airplane with me. I couldn't get the Echo that you promote because they ran out.
Okay.
And then I wasn't stateside at the time to get it, and they wanted like $100 to ship it out to Guam. So I got this brand off of Amazon.
Okay.
And it lights up and makes bubbles, and it fizzes.
Yeah. I just
okay.
haven't tested that one. I don't know that it's good or bad. And that's not to say that it's bad by any means.
Okay.
You know, I'm just an incessant tester of things. You know, if you walked around my condo, you would just see that it's, you know, it's like a giant biohacking lab.
Yeah. So I was just, because I couldn't get a hold of the Echo, and then because they were, you know, in such demand that they were out of stock. So I just tried to get some. But I want to thank you, because I feel like that level of fatigue that I was having, and, you know, it felt like a heavy blanket over me at times. That's kind of gone away, and I feel a lot better. And here's the funny thing. I just did some recent blood work, and prior to the blood work, I did a full week of just carnivore diet. I thought I'd try it out.
Yeah.
And the cholesterol number went down.
Yes.
I just did steak and eggs today.
Saturated fat does not increase your cholesterol level.
Yeah.
Exactly right. Only 50% of the cholesterol in our blood comes from diet. So if you took your cholesterol in your diet to zero, maximum you would impact your cholesterol is 15%. Most of the cholesterol is made by the liver. 85% of the cholesterol in our bloodstream is manufactured by the liver. If you want to lower cholesterol, you lower what you put in the front door of the liver, and you will get less cholesterol out the back door. So if you put high glycemic carbohydrates into the front door, you will get high cholesterol out of the back door, meaning into the blood.
Yeah. So
and you're proof positive of that.
Yeah, because I think my LDL was like at 190 on this last one.
Gosh, that's not bad at all.
Yeah. Okay.
What was your triglyceride?
That everything was really low. Everything was normal. Triglycerides, everything was low. The only thing that was a little bit low off the scale was the hemoglobin and the
hemoglobin A1C.
Yeah, A1C, that was normal, but the hemoglobin is like, that was just slightly off. And then the hematocrit.
Hematocrit and hemoglobin were low?
Yeah.
Okay, that's you've got low testosterone.
But the testosterone tests fine.
you have low free testosterone.
Oh, so.
Do you have your free testosterone number?
I don't know.
It's low. Free
Okay,
testosterone is what puts pressure on the bone marrow to make new red blood cells. So when
Okay.
free testosterone drops, the production of red blood cells drops and your hemoglobin and hematocrit drop. Hematocrit is a measure of your blood viscosity. It tells you how close is your blood to motor oil or how close is your blood to water, right? Hemoglobin is like the fluid inside the red blood cell, and it's inside that fluid that oxygen is bound. So if you actually want to raise your hemoglobin, you raise the amount of red blood cells that are being produced, which means I would bet my career that your free testosterone is low.
and it'll just say free, or what's that?
It'll say total testosterone or just testosterone, and then it will say free or bioavailable testosterone.
Oh, okay. Any other recommendations for that then?
Yeah, just like the other one, you can take boron or you can take DHEA if your DHEA is low. The reason why most of the time our free testosterone drops is because we're not converting testosterone into free testosterone, right? So let's say you have a healthy testosterone level, but you have a low free testosterone level. This usually means you're not converting it, which means you're either missing raw material, DHEA, or you are being inhibited from that conversion by SHBG. SHBG you lower with boron. DHEA you raise with DHEA.
Okay. So once
right.
we get that blood work, either I got to take the test or I got to upload the information, because you
Yeah.
guys don't ship the test kits, I think, to Guam, you said internet, even though it's U.S. Postal Service.
Yeah, I don't think we do business or license in Guam, but if you get the blood work in, they'll read it for you. Okay.
Okay.
All right, I got
Uh,
2 more questions
you.
before we wrap up. You got it, brother. Have a great afternoon or evening or whatever time it is in Guam. Hi there.
Gary, can you hear me?
I can hear you back.
Oh, how fun. I get to talk to you.
And I get to talk to you.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so thank you. I echo everyone's praise and gratitude for you.
Oh,
So I want to steward your time well. I know you're not a doctor, but I would love your opinion on, I have had low estrogen and irregular cycles for as long as I can remember. I have 3 sons. I've born children, but all my hormones look good. I have lower estrogen, lower progesterone, etc. I wonder if I were to take the gene test, is there something that my doctors are missing? I go to a functional medicine. I have a great Western medicine doctor. They kind of work together. I just feel like there's just this big missing piece. Like I'm fit. I teach yoga. I used to run. I stopped that. I've gained some weight. I feel like I still can't get things regular. Thoughts?
Yeah. So 2 things, without actually seeing any blood work there. Number one, if you go to a functional medicine doctor, they're going to be very familiar, with, the hormone panel testing, but you will actually look, when you look on, an estrogen metabolism chart, like, there's a urine test called the Dutch test, that women do very often for hormones. You will see that the gene mutation COMT, COMT, is what metabolizes estrogen. So estrogen is kind of a category, and there's types of estrogen: estradiol, estriol, these different types of estrogen. Okay. So don't take my word for it. Women are complicated. So one of the things that this gene mutation does is it sends estrogen down what's called the E2 pathway. It sends it down the pathway to be eliminated. When it's not being eliminated, the body, namely the pituitary, sees that estrogen. Even though it's not bioactive, it sees it and it lowers your production of estrogen, right? So what happens is, if you have this gene mutation, COMT, and you don't supplement for that gene mutation, then you have interrupted estrogen metabolism. And since you've been telling me that you've had it for a long period of time, and it sounds to me like you live a healthy lifestyle, if you're doing yoga and you're eating fairly clean, you're moving your body, you're getting decent sleep, and you're not doing any of the extracurricular things that have a negative impact on hormones, which doesn't sound like, then very likely it could be this COMT gene mutation. The other thing is, I don't believe that there's such thing as low estrogen. And the reason why I'm saying that is that it is perfectly normal in a menstruating female to have estrogen in the teens. It is perfectly normal to have estrogen in the 400s, depending on where you are in your menstrual cycle, follicular, ovulation, or luteal. What is the most important is that your hormones are monophasic, meaning they are in the same phase, right? What causes hormone imbalance is not high or low hormones. It is out of ratio hormones, right? You want all the girls leaving one cycle and entering the next cycle together. You want estrogen and progesterone leaving follicular and entering luteal, leaving luteal, entering ovulation. What you don't want is this, right? So if you get a good doctor to look at a good hormone panel, they'll tell you if you're all in the same phase, and if you're not, then you can supplement to get them back in phase.
So that COMT, is that the SAMe, or if I did the gene test?
The B complex and the methylfolate.
Is that in this?
Yes,
I've just got
Optimized.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Very good. All right. Question 2, really quick.
Okay.
Chewing gum. I'm totally addicted. I've chewed gum since I was a little girl. Aspartame, it's horrible. Help me. Either break this, talk me off the ledge, give me other options. I mentioned this in the Royal Breakfast, and everybody was like, yes. What are your thoughts?
So, no, switch to a gum called Pure. Pure. There's no aspartame. There's no xylitol. There's no erythritol. Tastes amazing. Comes in 5 flavors. It's guilt-free gum chewing. I don't have an issue with chewing gum at all. Just as long as you're not doing a lot of the aspartame in the gum, that's bad. But you'll love Pure, Pure.
All right.
You can get it.
Okay, very good. All right, 2 questions. I got 3 teen boys. One's a 20-year-old. They're getting on board. We have cold plunge. We've done some things. What would you say, as you have, growing adult children, what would you say to start first with them if we want them to adopt this lifestyle? Besides our own example,
Yes.
What would you say start here?
I would say start with the gene test and supplement for deficiency. That's where I think we should start, because everybody's got something, right? Everybody's got a little brain fog. They've got a little ADD, a little ADHD, a little anxiousness. They've got a little bit of poor sleep. They've got an active mind. They got poor focus and concentration. I'm not saying specifically your sons, but I'm saying like everybody has something.
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of this is caused from deficiency, right? We just think that we, as a consequence of aging, we're supposed to be tired, or we're supposed to not have focus or concentration, or we're not supposed to sleep that well, or we're not supposed to have healthy libido later in life, or if we're young, we're just not supposed to have that much energy during the day. We're not supposed to sleep that well. We're supposed to stay up late. All of those things that become consequences of aging, or our environment, or our spouse, or career, kids, they're not consequences of any of those things. They are consequences of missing raw material in the human body. My message is largely about just restoring faith back into the human body. When you give it the raw material that it needs to do its job, it really performs, right? You want to see magic happen in human beings? Give their body the raw material it needs to do its job.
So good.
One of the things that I try to show people is that, I have a very active life. And sometimes I have an extremely heavy travel schedule, and I'm very conscious to post a lot when I'm traveling, because I'll show you how you can do 9 cities in 11 days on opposite sides of the world and still get 100% sleep scores. Right. And that's because it just depends on what your priorities are. Do you schedule meetings and travel around exercise and sleep? Or do you schedule exercise and sleep around your meetings and your travel? Because one has beneficial consequences and one has disastrous consequences, right?
Right.
And so it's just a matter of just kind of reshaping sometimes our priorities, not big, massive, demonstrative changes. So, you're not going to tell them they got to be vegan, raw food, vegetarian, keto, paleo, carnivore overnight. What you're going to tell them is, take this test and stop supplementing for the sake of supplementing, start supplementing for deficiency. That's where it starts.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so last question, Ed.
Hey, Gary.
Are you Ed Garnett the third?
Yeah, got somehow tagged on my name. I am the third. The line
You're
ended
the
there,
third.
but,
Is there a fourth?
there's not a fourth. He's got my middle name as his first name, Travis Edwards. So we cut the
Okay.
third off. So,
Awesome.
but all good. Thanks for asking. Hey, thanks for everything you do. Appreciate you. Old Streamline medical customer.
Wow.
Yeah. So
That's going back.
I remember that one kid said it before, and I got the same reaction. So go back a ways. So I'm going to go to a topic that's probably not comfortable, but I'll try to be quick because I know we're running short on time.
Yes.
And I have 2 blitzcrangs for you. So I went through like a prostate removal, prostate radical prostatectomy.
Yes.
Then I had a biochemical reoccurrence of it, right? Which happens like 40% of the time. So I'm about a year clean of that. I'm good. But part of the biochemical reoccurrence was the radiation, 37 treatments, and then androgen deprivation therapy. So I'm bouncing back, but ED, something natural, it's a challenge, man, because you're kind of like, I'm 55 and I feel pretty damn good, but I'm like, come on, buddy, help me out, kind of thing.
Yeah. So a couple things you want to do with erectile dysfunction. So it has 3 sources mainly, right? And this is, trust me, there are people listening right now are like, I'm glad he asked that question.
No, I'm all out
Before
there.
I
It's
get
all
on
good.
and ask for a friend, right? So erectile function is psychomotor, right? So one is I have this sensation of arousal in my mind. I see an image or see my loved one, or I'm in a scenario where I get aroused. The second thing that happens is a release of something called oxytocin. Oxytocin is called the love hormone. It's what they say is in Cupid's arrow. And oxytocin, which dogs have about 100 times the oxytocin in their blood that humans do, which is why they're so loyal, very attached. So the loss of oxytocin keeps the sensation of arousal from leading to libido. Okay, so or keeps the sensation of libido from leading to arousal. So one, if you're a client of ours, you can take something called oxytocin. You can actually take straight oxytocin. The other is circulatory issue, which is a blood flow in the microvasculature. And that is really enhanced by Vinia resveratrol, VINIA.
Take that. Yep, got that from you. That's good.
Resveratrol, you can take that actually twice a day.
Twice a day.
And the last one is valvular insufficiency. If you actually looked inside of the tube of a vein, right, blood flows one direction through these valves. So the blood pumps and it goes in and the valve closes. When the valve collapses, blood is allowed to backflow. Those clients usually do very well on tadalafil, which is the generic form, which is the form of Cialis. And 5 to 20 milligrams, which will last about 3 days, is actually really good for building valvular sufficiency. My preference would be start with oxytocin and Vinia resveratrol, and then if that doesn't work, then add tadalafil.
Definitely a customer, and that's great. I take the Vinia, and I recommend I take the Aura, I take your 10X Optimize, all of it's all great. So it's
Awesome.
Good stuff. Big fan, because again, coming from Streamline. Real quick also, and I'll be brief, I promise. So when I was a Streamline, I was with Devin and Versace. So
he's still with me. He's been with me for 9 years.
Devin's a great dude. So he recommended Amy Meyer's Paleo Protein. Is that a good protein? Is that like something like what's a go-to protein? Because I figured the Paleo would be pretty good as you're trying to like get a little bit more on you.
Yes. That's a great protein. Use that in addition to the Perfect Amino acids.
Yes, take those every morning as well. Yep.
Perfect Amino also has a great protein, but I'm a big fan of hers.
So that's a good one to take then for someone like in theory like me.
Very clean.
He basically, if looking at my blood, said 45 minutes after your morning workout, fasted workout, take that. Take a protein shake.
Devin is he and I sat next to each other for 5 years, literally same desk for 5 years, and I just trained him. He's a little protege of mine. So
I'm going to text him, tell him I was online with you. So there.
Yeah, tell him. Yeah.
All right,
that's great.
And then last one, real quick, rucking. What's your thought? I know you're big on the walking, but how about
fan of
putting the
rucking,
weighted backpack on?
Because I'm actually a bigger fan of rucking than I am of jogging, right, over the long term.
Oh, cool. That's what I was going to ask, because I try to do both sometimes, and I'm getting into the rucking.
Yeah, I wouldn't ruck with weight. I wouldn't jog with weights. I would ruck, and fast walk. Because strength is more important you know, and muscle in longevity than anything. You know, we're at the age now where we start to become sarcopenic. We have something called age-related muscle wasting. Just to sum it all up very, very quickly, if you want to live a long time, you got to lift some heavy weight, right?
Yeah.
And moving your body under stress is a very, very, very good thing for you. And rucking is a way to do it without overstressing your joints.
Yep.
Right.
That's awesome. Yeah. So just get on that backpack or whatever you got, the weighted vest. Do you use any of those? Are you trying any of those
I
out?
do. In fact, I just ordered. I'm going to start training for a race called High Rocks, which my son competes in.
Oh, awesome. I saw
compete
some of that on your posting here with your son.
Yeah. I mean, he's a beast. He's pro qualified. I'm
Yeah,
definitely
that's
an
awesome.
amateur. But you know, it's not too much of an impact. You know, it's rowers, stand up skiers, some, you know, weighted kettlebells, burpees, lunges, those kinds of things, functional type movements that you know, that you're competing in. I think those are I think the distance running late in life is really hard on the joints.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great. I appreciate that's all I have. Thank you for the
Okay.
time. And again, love it and appreciate everything you do for us as a community.
Appreciate you too. I really appreciate you too. Thank you guys so much. Don't forget to sign up for the 3-day water fast, guys. Even if you did the water fast last time, sign up and download the water fasting guide for this month. Please send it out to your friends, your family, your coworkers. Let's make a real impact. One of the reasons why I put so much energy into these challenges, and I spend time to write these guides and put all the things that you need to accomplish the task in the guide, is because I want it, number one, I want it to be free. I want a very low barrier to entry, but I want people to participate in this because we're trying to set that hook of optimal wellness. I'm trying to use different ways for people to see that when in short periods of time, as their body becomes healthy, more nutrified, you know, less mineral deficient, they start to experience these positive changes, and that has them continue on their journey. And that's the way we're going to make a difference in this world. You know, getting people off of chemicals, synthetics, pharmaceuticals, showing them a more natural way to find that superhuman inside of them. So I really need your help. You know, obviously I don't get any direct benefit from that. I really want this to be a ripple effect around the world. So don't be quiet about it. You know, sign up for the water fasting challenge. You know, show me that you love yourself. Well, I'll make sure that I commit lots of time. I take lots of questions. I'll be with you every step of the way. You know, sometimes these things that we do that are tough on ourselves are called hormetic stresses. We stress the body and it responds by strengthening. You think about what you were doing 3 days ago. Okay, you could have started a water fast and you'd be done right now. It's not that much time. I don't want you to think that this is so arduous. And if you can't make it, if you only make it a day or 2 days, you've still done your body a tremendous amount of good. What I want to do is use the body's own natural defense mechanisms to start eliminating the incidence of disease and pathology that may not even manifest itself for years down the road. Let's use our body's own defense mechanism to clean house. So until next time, I love you guys. I really, really get a lot of energy from you. I deeply appreciate your comments and sincerity of the information share and how open we are on these meetings. So keep your questions